Chrono Trigger is without a doubt a classic and beautifully detailed game. Its production brought on one of the greatest collaborations in gaming history, and its presentation, history, and place in the hearts of retro gamers and collectors is undeniably secure for years to come. Retroware TV has taken a look at Chrono Trigger's history, story, and its place in gaming lore. But what about the real reason this game is unforgettable and influential in the video game world? The reason is, without a doubt, its gameplay. Chrono Trigger began like any other Square role-playing game. The main player's protagonist is introduced in a picturesque and fairy tale-like town environment, with various non-player characters providing information and plot-advancing pieces of the story. Unlike many RPGs, Chrono, your main character, is voiceless. All other characters you interact with throughout the game provide plot-driving dialogue, but your player is immersed in the story purely through personal experience. There is no fake voice to represent your adventure. Chrono's personality is effectively yours alone. The fairy tale world you are introduced to is quickly altered as you are steadily introduced to new technologies and the various settings of Chrono Trigger's multiple time periods. The norm of the classical medieval role-playing adventure setting with kingdoms and villages is turned on its head as you are introduced to various characteristics of different time periods. While the surroundings are different, the gameplay elements remain the same. There is a scaled-down overworld where your tiny on-screen character can walk or fly in the time ship Epic. You can travel to different areas of the overworld by this method. In this game, navigating the overworld in this fashion is completely safe, as no random encounters take place in the overworld. There are forests, towns, individual buildings and homes, as well as the ubiquitous caves, dungeons, and castles. In these more realistically scaled environments, you interact with people, creatures, and encounter enemies. A main difference in Chrono Trigger when compared to games like Final Fantasy, there are no random battles. All enemies, for the most part, can be seen on screen and in many cases can either be avoided or initiated when the party is ready. Of course, in some more tense and dangerous environments, enemies can definitely arrive unannounced, taking the party a bit off guard. This method ensures that the commonly unnecessary and annoying enemy encounters often plaguing RPGs can be avoided. Of course, battling enemies like in any RPG helps build the experience points and leveling attributes like strength, luck, speed, and defense. While this specific type of enemy encounter is similar to the adventure RPG genre, all fights are still turn-based, just without cutting to a separate battle screen. Everything takes place on the field map. Battles consist of physical attacks, magic attacks, and special attacks learned through increased leveling and depending on who you have in your party at the time. Magic and special attacks are called techs. These techs can sometimes be combined with other party members to create combinations of shared skills. Square employed the active time battle system for Chrono Trigger, similar to the one found in Final Fantasy IV. A timer indicates when your character is available to select an attack. In the beginning of the game, or in the subscreen, you can select whether the enemies prepare in an active versus wait system. You can only have 3 characters in your party at a time, and as you meet more, they can stay in place at the end of time and be switched out as needed at any point during the game. Because the battles are top-down and played on the actual movable field, your party members can occasionally switch their locations, allowing for better use of shared tech attacks. Games are saved at specific save points designated by a small starry field, and the saved games fall within named chapters that are selected at the start of a game. Chrono Trigger is unique in the way that it also allowed for the New Game Plus option, once the game has been beaten for the first time. The New Game Plus feature allows the player to restart the game from its beginning, allowing for the retention of all previously acquired experience, leveling, and items. Only gold and certain plot-driven items that are acquired are unavailable at the start of a New Game Plus. This little device allows you to have an easier time beating side quests, advancing through the game, and unlocking missed devices and story elements that can now be given more attention upon replay. This device was unique to Chrono Trigger, and pretty much was acceptable thematically, since starting the game again from the beginning with previously acquired experience lends itself almost naturally to the idea of time travel. This New Game Plus option eventually found its way to other Squaresoft games, like Vagrant Story, Parasite Eve, and Final Fantasy X-2. Another unique gameplay feature is that after some limited progression in the story, and because of the ability to travel through time, you can actually face the last boss of Chrono Trigger in his time frame of 1999 at almost any time of your choosing. Depending on when, how, and with which characters you defeat Lavos, you are introduced a unique ending sequence to the game. Small things you influence throughout the game, as well as the larger ones, can significantly or minimally alter what occurs during your ending sequence. There are a total of 13 different endings in the game. This is of course if you include the bad ending, which plays out when you lose to Lavos. The multiple ending element creates a consistent replay value to Chrono Trigger. I have to say that now as we at Retroware TV wrap up this 3-part review, I have become even more enamored by this game. Its story, the well-developed cast of characters, and the gameplay innovations that have just been mentioned, it is a game worthy of being picked up, rediscovered, and investigated again and again. The irony is that this game is timeless, not just because of its quality, but because of its time-traveling aspects. These story experiences can be rediscovered again and again. Thank you for watching Retroware TV's visit to the world of Chrono Trigger. It harkens back to the video game era of the mid-90s, and it shows the beginning of the budding RPG popularity in America. Chrono Trigger's unique elements and qualities helped redefine the genre and helped urge future designers to push games in new directions. From Medina to Guardia, from your Super Nintendo to the end of time, Chrono Trigger will always live in the hearts of classic gamers.